Welcome to the Next Level Guys Show podcast. I'm Ian, and this is where men rebuild discipline, confidence, and take control of their lives. No hype, no excuses, just real conversations and practical tools. Let's get into today's episode. My guest today is Chris Bones Burns. Most people know Chris as a Rickson Gracie black belt, founder of Academy Jiu-Jitsu in Sydney, and the guy constantly telling people to stop chasing shiny techniques and get back to those bloody fundamentals. The thing people who know Chris will recognise immediately is blunt language, fundamentals obsession, anti-bullshit attitude, reduction over complexity, self-depreciating humour, swearing as punctuation, and just do the simple thing properly. That's a big part of his personality. But what you won't expect is where this conversation goes. We talked about Chris growing up adopted, feeling like an outsider, building community, fatherhood, purpose, and why the things that make life meaningful are often much simpler than we think. This isn't really a conversation about jiu-jitsu. It's a conversation about belonging, meaning, and building a life that feels right. And now, let's get to the interview. It feels like that sometimes at work. Like, it's like, please, sir, can I have some more? Please, can I go for a piss?
Fuck that. You should be your own boss. It's awesome.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do with this. You know, it's like, that's why I kind of want to get people like you on the show, because it's people who are authentically changing, who are actually making a difference in lives. You know, they're not just talking it, they're doing it. But for people who don't know your charismatic self, the suave kind of Keanu Reeves looking guy in front of me, how would you introduce yourself?
I would introduce myself as Keanu Reeves.
All right, well, I've definitely got the wrong podcast then. Fuck.
No, man, I'm Chris. There's nothing special about me whatsoever.
So, and how would you describe what you do?
Is this the start of the podcast? Because I'm terrible. Are we started? Fuck. Please continue.
So how would you describe what you do? Say you met somebody in a lift, you had 30 seconds between floor, and they said, they gave you that age-old boring question, just get out of the way.
I'm not kidding. I tell people I work in insurance. It's way easier than telling people that I fucking scoot around on the floor with grown men. It's the state of jiu-jitsu has become, for lack of a better term, like a meme. You know, like they send funny videos of guys butt scooting towards each other on concrete, defending their girlfriend. So when I say I do jiu-jitsu, they're like, "Oh, you do karate in the mall?" I'm like, so I try to skirt the conversation until people actually care about it. So for the longest time, I used to say, I work in insurance. Nobody cares about that. Nobody wants to ask any more questions, and I get to be left alone. Which is weirdly enough one of my favorite hobbies is being left the fuck alone. For someone who's on the internet. So.
Well, I've got a Spotify playlist that's called Cuddling with Sweaty Men. And try explaining that to anybody that doesn't know about jiu-jitsu. It's an interesting look they give you. But before
the B-52s.
So, like, before we get into like the jiu-jitsu side of stuff, like the art gave you a framework for life and expressing yourself. What do you think you were trying to find before you got into jiu-jitsu? Like, what was it about life that just wasn't clicking at the time?
Nothing clicks. It still doesn't click. So I felt like an alien since day one. I was adopted. So I'm super open, by the way, because I did a whole bunch of therapy and shit. I don't hide anything, because if I hide anything like this, why bother? So for me, jiu-jitsu was on the to-do list of like, I should learn how to defend myself. That is on my fucking to-do list from childhood. You know, like, how do I tie knots? How do I start a fire? How do I not die? Like, those are basic things that I thought every person should know and be taught, and I wasn't taught. So I had to search for it for myself. So for me, before jiu-jitsu ever happened, I was always kind of just struggling against the grain on a daily basis and dealing with depression for not feeling like I fit in this at all. I still don't. You know, like, I have a beautiful family, a wonderful wife and kid, 2 dogs, a house by the beach, and I still sit around like, I'm not supposed to be. So for me, finding something that clicked with me, it didn't happen like that. it was something that I strategically sought out. Like, what is the best hand to hand combat? This is me like as a teenager looking into it. Like, what should I be looking for? Because I'm not big, I'm not fast. Getting punched in the face sucks because I tried boxing, wrestling with men in tights. Wow, that's not really helping me. I'm just being pinned. So what do I do next? And found Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And then when I started Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, it wasn't Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And it took like a decade of being gaslit. That's a fucking word that's in my vocabulary now. That like, no, you're learning how to fight. And I was like, no, I'm learning how to injure myself constantly. This is definitely not what I was looking for. And now I'm the bitter asshole yelling on the internet. So I have this sense of I get that gray sense of honor and dignity and morals where like I owe this to specific people that have had it rough like I had it. Like they didn't want to wrestle fuck on the ground for like 3 sessions a day just to prove that they're tough. They wanted to go like, hey, please don't touch me. I don't want any trouble, which was like the foundation of what we were supposed to be learning, but fuck my life. So yeah, I do mostly everything out of spite. One day, fuck you forever till I'm dead.
I had an ex like that. Yeah, she was unreal. Like, but because that
So
leads me on the
usually the hottest one.
oh, I'm the biggest pain in the arse. Like, because that leads me perfectly on to my next question. Because like I listened to an interview you did where you mentioned about being adopted, and I was surprised they didn't sort of have any follow up questions. I mean, I was really interested in like how that affected your sense of belonging, and does that mean now that your sort of lineage, your sense of belonging, the team bonding, etc., does it mean more to you now, or does it even play into it?
It does extremely because I never had a sense of belonging. It was like a born alone, die alone kind of thing. And I have a loving family. Like I always try and stress that as much as possible. Like the people that adopted me were fucking wonderful, still wonderful. I love them to death. But I never felt like I was supposed to be there. I always felt like I was like just slightly off into the corner. Like, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to be in this room. Maybe I'm supposed to be in that room. Every room I went to, I was thoroughly alone. So I had to learn how to be with myself and be comfortable with myself. And that took a long time. And then one of my first long lasting relationships was very abusive. So I was constantly berated and put down and told that I'm fucking the worst at all times. And I'm sitting there like, well, the only person I got is me, so I might as well get along with me. So I got for the longest time, like every inside joke was for me. Like if I throw out a one liner and it doesn't make sense, it was fucking gold for me. Trust me. So for me, the idea of lineage and belonging to a team. No, there was no team to fucking begin with. It was just men trying to kill each other. Because I started off in a shit show, and I was like, "Yeah, but weren't you proud of that shit?" No, not in the least. I had a good time because there were some really cool people, and we're still friends to this day. We just beat the fuck out of each other with absolutely no guidance whatsoever, barely padded. It was brutal and I thought I was learning what I was learning, and it's a team. Like, but it's not a team because everybody there is trying to one up each other at all times, and everyone's sneaking off to learn other things to beat the other guy within the team. No one's really helping each other. So I felt right at home there because I wasn't at home. I just made it my home. My wife makes good jokes about it. Like, it doesn't matter where I go, I find the most comfortable spot and I settle in and I find a dog. Like, it doesn't matter where I go, there is a spot where I can sit and deal with existing. So that's what I did for about a decade until I was like, I've had more than enough. I'm going to go build my own house. And I guess full circle on that question, creating a community where everyone feels welcome is what I've been trying to do for like 15 years. So I have people that send me messages that I taught like a decade ago going, thank you so much for paying so much attention to me, even though I have these, and they list all these problems that I never saw. I didn't see those problems. I just saw a person that really wanted to learn something and they were super cool. That was it. So when I have like end of year dinners and there's like 80 people sitting and then people are sending me photos from their club, their 0 point of all their students. I'm like, it's like I had to create my own place to belong. And I feel like that's why I'm so passionate about it. Like, no, I'm happy here and there's a lot of other people that are happy here. So you can have that corner. I'll be over here by myself. And then all these people started joining me while I was by myself.
Because that's what definitely comes across. Like, I mean, normally I find people on the internet and I go, "Oh, that's quite cool," and I then subscribe and follow them a bit, But there was just something about your content that I was just like, he gets it. It's funny. It's joking. He's a bloody good teacher. But you didn't make jujitsu your whole identity. You were talking about like reading
God,
jokes, and
those are the
you were.
worst people.
And it was like you
And God
couldn't
bless
just be a
them.
normal person.
Not a fucking fart tiger. No, I was actually talking to a friend of mine in the States, and he was saying like he's so enthralled with jujitsu for so long. The second he stepped away to like his wife's friend's party, and he's like standing there in silence, and they had no idea how to talk to normal people. He was like, "Oh, I need to fix this." So no, jujitsu is not me. Like I love jujitsu, and when I say jujitsu, I mean Rickson's jujitsu, and I mean Gracie jujitsu because it's so different to what people think jujitsu is now. What jujitsu is now is like the new sport hobby. Yeah, you gotta do it, and you gotta sit in the ice bath, and you gotta be a fucking man, and read stoic poetry and shit. Oh, all right, you do you. I always preferred the idea of efficiency and bettering myself and like slowly incrementally getting better at something while helping others. It's this whole lifestyle thing that was a lifestyle but then it's not a lifestyle because it got sold like a used car for a while there.
Mm.
I love my friend Vinny. He grew up with the Gracies, and the way he represents the Gracies is what I wanted. Like teaching kids how to stand up for themselves and not be bullied. Like you can't play with us. You can't play soccer. You're not cool. It's like, yeah, I might not be cool, but I know jujitsu. Fuck you. I love that sense of like, no, it's cool. I got this by myself. And if you want to keep talking, it's okay. We can keep going. That's the kind of jujitsu that really meant something to me, and it took me a decade to get to it. So yeah,
Because you
it's
certainly had an
personality
interest.
wise.
I mean, you certainly had an interesting career path. You went from like what was it through like university education, comic book artist. You worked in a porn shop. You've you certainly went round the houses. What was it that was missing at
Best
that
job I
point?
ever had. Dude, this is, I like getting to talk about this stuff because there's a lot of people, their entire personality, like their entire life revolves around this one thing because they found that one thing and they latch to it. I got a lot of friends that latch onto one thing and make it their thing. If you can look like just a little bit below the surface on that one, you see who the person is and every person's different. But when you like hardcore, you're that. Man, there's not much I want to talk to you about. Like, I'll still be your friend, but like, what was the last book you read? Like, tell me how you feel about this subject, not what someone else told you to feel about this subject. Tell me how you feel about this subject. Those are the open conversations that I want to have over a fucking cup of tea. Not you parroting somebody else's opinion all the time. I'm good, man. I don't necessarily want that in my life. And you're cool, and I'll see you eventually. You'll be around, but I really got to keep it eclectic. I like the weirder the fucking person, the more I like them. But the trajectory that got me to where I am was always kind of the same trajectory because, like, the difference between being a university professor and running pornography stores, what you had to have enough ego to say, like, no, I can do this. You also had to be slightly perverted. So, I could do this. So the pointer was the best job. The comic book artist was actually just alone in a room by myself listening to music, diligently working at something and perfecting a craft. And I love that. Everything I love is the silent space in between, which is, again, the full irony of what I do for a fucking living now, being on the internet, influencing. Like, my job is to be like relentlessly sparring for 3 hours straight and drilling this specific series of things to make sure that I can sharpen that knife. Or I'm working on an 8 break panel. I'm using watercolors and ink on this one. Then I got to fucking digitize it. All this weird shit is just silence in my head. You know, I'm alone. I'm meditating on my own kind of shit. I'm not present and I'm not worried about the geopolitical fucking nonsense and, oh, fucking debt. I don't know what to do with my life. No, I'm in the present moment. So being a university professor was me being in the present moment and helping others. Hand
Mm.
store. Me being in the present moment and helping others.
And
Jiu-jitsu
washing your
teacher. Me
hands.
being in the
Yeah.
present moment. Oh fuck me. To be fair, like nobody really understands how easy that job is. I actually drew a comic book working there. Did security as well as like a night security guy, and I drew my comic books there. Like I'd set up an easel and I'd put up a DVD. We back in the day, you had those mini DVD players that could come with you, like a little miniature
Oh yeah.
laptop. And I'd like sit there and I'd put on a DVD and I'd start drawing and working. But the porn store was the best because you get paid a ridiculous amount of money to do nothing but watch weird fucks. 1 in 10 was a normal person that just wanted to fucking get some porn. 9 out of 10 were fucking amazing stories. And I still tell those stories to this day. So, yeah, solid job. Dishwashing was great too. I like dishwashing. That's silent. That humming machine dishwasher and like a TGI Fridays. That was cool.
Do you think that? Do you think that kind of suggests, like, because you were saying there about that you really like the working on the thing to its perfection, so that's like you kind of do the art, but you also have that kind of creativity side of things, and that kind of you're going out and meeting unique people with each role and stuff. Was that the kind of lead into jiu-jitsu, that you, as much as you saw it for the self-defense, you also saw it as an expression of yourself and learning more about you in that sense?
You ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a character named Jerry, and he's like licking envelopes and putting them away. He just keeps licking envelopes and putting them away. Oh, he's been at it for hours. Like, I don't know why. It just makes sense to me. But the job just fits. Yeah, he's just licking envelopes and putting them away. Something about that moment is how I feel. Like, you can pick any position in the world. There's going to be a field where I'm going to go, oh, it just fits. And I'm pretty sure it's just my OCD and like my tisms, like all those little bits and pieces. Like, no, I can do an Imanari roll 500 times before the next break. I can do that. One, two, three. I'm just licking fucking envelopes. So the creativity part for me, I don't know, man. It's more like a sense of order than creativity because yes, I get it. We're reinventing the wheel on a daily basis, and I've created the world's greatest power kimura. Like I'm pretty sure it was still a kimura just done wrong. If you had to add the word power to it, that's not jujitsu. It literally translates to gentle art, not power fuck. So you're reinventing the wheel all the time versus I'm trying to refine a very specific thing and organize it properly to pass down. I feel like I'm doing more like making mixtapes. Like I'm trying to seduce a future lover with a mixtape. Like, oh, this equals this, and this, and then you can do this, and this. Systemizing. Like the way Donna here call it is like the system. Fuck, I already forgot. Enter the system. So like when you start to organize things, you go like, oh, we grab that and bend it. It's say 10. I never liked that. I always wanted a reason for something, and I wanted the most efficient answer. So same thing goes into all of the fields that I've conquered.
I love that kind of idea of like making a mixtape. Like that's a really great idea because
Dude, I am in like the 2000th mixtape at this point. Like I am organizing at all times, trying to make this make sense because no one wants it to make sense. The powerful and the fast and the flexible win. Like, oh man, I've been banging, I've been grinding. You're never gonna beat me. Like, I don't know, A plus B usually equals C. I'm gonna stick with that and see how that goes. And then when the grinder gets tapped and they go, oh, maybe I should grind harder. Like that's the literal fucking opposite of what we're supposed to be doing in my eyes. And it's my opinion and suck a bag of dicks. If you want to grind and you want to put your hardness into something, put it into, I don't know, vaguely organizing it for a white belt. Like this equals this, and this is why we do this. Because there's a time in my life where I've watched white belts walk into a room, and it's like, we're doing the Delhi Hiva guard today. But I wanted to learn how to not get beat up. I don't know what this means. What is a guard? And no one ever explained it. Ever, ever, ever. And I know that there's some guy out there who's like, oh, I do! You're like one. You're one dude in fucking Boise, Idaho. Like, yeah, you do. No one else does. And you're not on the internet taking fucking bullets on a daily basis. People need to get the shit together. I think if you're going to keep this art alive and you're going to preserve it, depending on what lane you want to preserve it in, start putting some effort into that part instead of collecting fucking medals. Um,
No, I mean it's true. 'Cause I remember starting. I was in a Gracie Baja gym. It wasn't like the greatest of gyms back in the day, and it was just like these are the structures we do. This is how you learn. This is what you follow. There was not like how to mix it between the two of them, like how what to do if somebody blocked that move. It was just assumed that you were doing that. That was it. You were going to win. And then there was like, we don't teach that certain move. We don't do this kind of moves. And you're like, but what happens if they do the move? I need to know how to then defend
Well,
or how to learn it. It was just that kind of very no. This is our side of things. This is how we see it.
it's I can't shit on it, man, because like it's like you see somebody at the gym, the gym with the weights, and they're lifting the weights wrong, and they're gonna hurt themselves. But they're lifting the weights, and they're at the gym. They're giving it everything they got to try and achieve a goal. So you can't shit on it. Shit on. I can't. I shit on everything. But I'm not gonna walk up to them and be like, "You fucking doing it wrong." No, I'm gonna try and be helpful. Like at least with the videos that I'm doing, and I have a moral code when it comes to all of the publications. Like I've never shit on a person or a collection of people with a title. I'll shit on techniques all day long because you don't own a technique, motherfucker. But we've literally filmed things. Oh, sorry, I'm allergic to jujitsu. Yeah. We filmed things and they've gone fucking viral or whatever, and then I see people tagging the creator of the move, and I'm like, oh, delete the shit out of that. And Sheila loses her mind. Like, no, it's viral. It's going to get more people to watch it. No, because I don't want to be the guy that stitches another guy to like be a barnacle on his fucking ship and hope for the best. That's the
Mm.
lowest form of shit. Sorry, I'm again allergic to jujitsu. I get it, and there's a way to be creative while diminishing another person. You know, like you could shit on somebody else to make yourself look smarter to everybody. And sometimes that shit's funny. I mean, I like Mystery Science Theater. You have no idea how much I love that show. Have you ever heard of that show?
Science theory, I think so. It's not ringing a
It's
bell
it's
just now
one guy
though.
trapped in space. It's from the like 80s and 90s. It's one dude trapped in space, and he's got two robots, and they watch terrible films and make fun of the movie. I'm down. Like I love making fun of shit, but like I don't want to
No.
tear somebody's hard work down to make myself look more important than a motherfucker because I'm not. When I go on to the little platform, the moral code is like I'm not gonna stitch or tear anybody down. Period. I don't do that. Like I think we should try and lead by example and try to make things better. Help people help themselves and help other people, as opposed to like that guy's fucking dumb. I'm cool. That doesn't help anybody at all, except for them sometimes. Mostly it doesn't help them because they're still going to be bitter and sad in a different way. Like, no, it's my parking space. Fuck you. It takes a special kind of person to take the time out of their day to shit on other people. So when it comes to the idea of jujitsu being shared, like I want to make sure that it gets preserved in a way that makes sense to people and like clear and concise and not I'm putting flames on a spoiler on a fucking Hyundai. Like, it's not that
Mm.
important. The car still runs. It's got four wheels and an engine, and it gets you from A to B. It's not the best car in the world, Tiger. You don't have to put spoilers on top of spoilers. I think that's kind of what's happening at this point. The cooler you look doing something, the sweatier you are. God, sorry, felt a
No,
little sick.
I mean, it certainly is something that you're really good at. Is that just showing it, displaying it,
Hitting on
but
things.
you never brick in some. You never pick a fight. You never try to bring somebody down to make yourself look
I
better.
pick fights. I'm a person.
But well, I mean, that makes but it
Uh,
shows it shows the level of your sort of moral integrity. The how you are as a person. But I mean, you've talked a lot about like the Joseph Campbell. The hero's journey. And what I always found interesting was that you don't just he doesn't just win at the end. He has to leave part of himself behind. How did you go from that artistic, just you in your own zone away from things to suddenly becoming a teacher? Did you have to leave part of yourself behind to get into this,
yes.
or is that putting yourself out there? What did you have to leave to become this version of yourself now?
Cannot tell you how much I've had to leave behind, how many bridges and towns have had to be burned to follow my bliss. Like not name dropping on Campbell on that one, but he had a significant impact in my youth because I managed to read a couple of the books, and then like growing up, I've still struggled to read more and more of them. But I wasn't aiming for the hero's journey. It just happens. I feel like it happens to everybody if they look close enough. They'll realize like the cool part about your life is the longer you live, the more you look back and go like, oh, that did this and this did that, and then all of a sudden I got to this, and that's why I'm here doing this right now. That's just how life is, you know? Like you can kind of guide that. And I think the interesting way of guiding that is doing the things that you are scared of. The thing that makes you scared the most is what you should probably be pursuing the most. You know, like, and I'm not saying like I'm scared of jumping out of a plane, so I'm going to jump out of a plane. No, you're jumping out of a plane, and that's a choice. It's more like Henry Rollins, get in the van. You know, like I can quit my job and get in the van. And he did. And look what he's doing. He's literally releasing an unreleased Cramps album with his best childhood friend. Like, that's fucking phenomenal to me. His trajectory went out to the idea of like, he's now preserving and releasing vinyls of the Cramps. That's fucking cool, man. He went from screaming on the stage and like literally at the Grammys in a suit and shit. What a weird trajectory. I love it. I think everybody should go out of their way to get a little weirder. Do the thing that they didn't think was going to be cool just to see if it's cool. Like, go to a Renaissance festival. I think that's the dumbest shit in the world. And then I got there, I was like, this is fucking amazing.
I've
It's for
interviewed
dressed like dragons
Jack
and
the Whisper.
furries.
Have you seen Jack the Whipper?
No, what's that?
So he's a guy that like he uses whips and like he does a lot of circus tricks, but Jack will use like he'll make songs whipping to the beat of the songs and all that. And it's 2 minutes in, you're like, this guy is fucking amazing. He's called Jock the Whipper or Jack the Whipper. Jack, um, I'll send you the link. He is an amazing guy, like, and he's such a
Oh,
nice
yeah.
guy.
Every
But
time
he
I do
was like,
podcasts, I get a list of shit to check out.
but he was like he was working in media and all these sorts of things. And then suddenly he was going off and working with his dad in a Renaissance fair. And his dad was a circus performer. And when you watch it, you're just like, that's the same guy, but he is amazing. Like, so definitely check him out. But
Yeah, man. But there's no version of my life. Like I had a guy, he's a super nice guy because I don't like name dropping, but he's in the martial arts field, and he came out just to visit me because he'd heard a lot about me. He was in town. He's like, "Hey, did you want to catch up and have some lunch and get to know each other?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do that." And he was asking me these same kind of questions, like, "Well, you got this plan, this plan, this plan. What are you planning on doing next?" And I was like, "Captain Ron." He caught the reference right away. I'm going to Captain Ron eventually. So sooner or later, I will be on a boat and I will be somewhere near the Caribbean and I'll have an eye patch and I'll be drunk midday having a blast. So like it's going to get weirder. There's no version of this that doesn't get weirder. I want to think I'll get a nice haircut and I'll be like presenting and being that guy, but probably not. I don't know. Maybe with age I'll soften, but the more adventure I can find before I die, and I want to take my son on adventures. So that's the cool part about doing jujitsu is I get to travel the world and teach. You know,
mm,
like I get to share this. I will be sharing this. I will be sharing Rickson Gracie's jujitsu in fucking Medan and Jakarta in 2 weeks. How cool is that? I'm eating catfish by a graveyard. Like that's a fucking cool time. Like I
yeah.
want to be able to do that for the rest of my life and drag my son with me so my son doesn't just grow up in one gated community being told that this is the way life is supposed to be. You know, like, no, this is the best country. These are the best people. This is how you live. Fucking get weird with it, man. Let's get wild. Let's go travel. I'll show you the world.
Do you think that's the sort of the main power of jujitsu instead of just learning to be self, to defend yourself or win medals or whatever your kind of like wanker dream of jujitsu is? Because I see a lot of guys who think, oh, I won this bit of plastic, right? That means I'm the biggest tough guy in the yard. And you're like, yeah, that really means that. But for those people who go to jiu-jitsu just to learn, to feel a bit more confident, whatever, do you think that lets them become weirder, lets them tap into themselves a bit more and break up what society's trying to force on them?
Yes, because you can view it a bunch of different ways. The first school I ever went to, the instructor was a fucking character. I remember him saying like, "Look at these folks. It's a fucking menagerie. That stuck with me forever. It's like that guy's a doctor. That guy's literally the head of the banditos. Like there's just random, and everyone's equal whether they like it or not until they go down to the car park and get their gun and come upstairs and threaten the other guy. I trained in a weird place. It was intense, but everyone is weird in their own way because it takes a kind of weird person to go like, I'm gonna go roll around on the floor with other motherfuckers, see if I can submit them. So there's a very small lane. I put this as polite as possible. There's a very small lane of what are referred to as the alphas. You're like, I'm here to grind. And they think that that's the big lane. That's the big dog thing. The wider area over here is the wussies, like the weak, and it's the scared. And those are the ones that we owe this to. These techniques, not the grapple fuck, the grappling against grappling and no. Over here, there is this giant portion of people that are just scared to go to their car, and they didn't want to join jujitsu to roll around on the ground. That's a fucking hobby. The part about jujitsu that everybody lost was we're on the ground so that we can hold a person down to the ground because it's harder to strike us. And if we end up on the bottom, we have to guard ourselves to get back to the top. And it became this elusive game where we get kind of enamored by the idea of like, I'm going to do the fucking go-go plata today, whether he likes it or not. Okay, there's that chunk of people over here that just wanted to make sure that somebody couldn't drag them to a fucking car. That's it. And I feel like these ones got left behind so hard. And all I want to do is like, that's it. I want to go over here and show wrist releases. I want to show them base, verbal de-escalation, physical de-escalation, like evasion tactics. That's the kind of stuff that really resonates. And I think there's this very small lane of people that are like, I'm going to fucking be a stoic warrior of fucking death. And then there's like, fuck, I don't want to get stuck in a headlock again because I got into a really weird altercation. It's fucking two very big different lanes. And then there's another lane where it's Turkish shoulder wrestling. So your call.
That's an
What's up,
interesting
man?
choice.
I got a friend. I got a fucking friend, and he is so old school. He's been around since the start, and he did Turkish shoulder wrestling. When I asked him about it, he was like, "I'm not doing that again." I did more like catch wrestling and sambo, like because I wanted to branch out and learn new things because I thought that's how you got good. Like I gotta have to do all of these and then pick the best pieces and put them together. Like, no, there's a complete system of shit that you should probably learn before you do all that shit. Anyways, by the time I got to Turkish shoulder wrestling, I was like, I'm good, man. I'm straight. I'm cool.
It's something for the CV, something to tell your future, your wife, your kids, like, but not something you
Yeah,
really want to think back.
I want to do
So,
Calico Stoica. I know I'm butchering it, but it's like two fucking towns go to war playing football and beating each other. I'm like, I could die doing that. I don't belong to any town though. Tutopasa? No, I forget the name. No
over
flag. I have no
in
flag.
Italy when they start punching each other and you're allowed to kick and all that, and it's like literally guys just
Yeah,
covered
my
in
wife.
blood and
Oh, dude, it's intense. My wife showed it to me when she met me. She's from Italy. She was born and raised in Como, and she was. It's Calico Stoico, or something like that. But like, it's like the people in the towns train all year to go to a miniature fake war, and it means the world to them. And I love that. That's cool, man. I get it. Like you got football and everything. This is their football, and their football is like a battle to the fucking death. And if you die doing it, like this, you die with honor, kind of shit. I don't know. I just feel like it would be cool to die in battle.
because you've talked about
I got
that sort of
nothing
like
worth.
well, you've said about your own sort of 10-year like journey and try find until you found the shortcut. Do you think that's the biggest error that a lot of people are making? They're trying to fit into this tribal, you have to be like this to fit into this style of jiu-jitsu or this club, whereas instead we should just let our flag fly and use jiu-jitsu to amplify that.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily true because there's some people along the way that have come to the very first club I was at, and they're like, "This is not for me. I'm going to go over here and train with these people," and they were normal people. But there's this thing to be said for tribalism where you walk in the door and you feel accepted. If you feel slightly accepted, all of a sudden you want to gain more acceptance. It's literally high school. So it's this weird thing where if you feel like you're part of the club, you start to try and build yourself up to be more a part of the club. I want to be even bigger part of the club. I want to have more friends in the club kind of thing. So people have a tendency to go to a club to do jujitsu and they get stuck at the club because their friends are there. Not because of the jujitsu, but because of their friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it depends on the person who's searching for something specific because those people that came to the club I was at and went, no, thank you. I'm going to go over here where they actually teach things. Maybe I'll come over for a roll one day. So the by and large, a lot of people that walk in the door, they walk in the door because it was close to their house. I've got friends that travel 3 hours each way to go and train where they want to train. So everyone's different, but the majority wants to go with the grain. And that's not a bad thing. Community is a very important part of life. Like imagine when the EMPs finally go off and then we have to worry about where do I get my eggs. I hope you know someone who has chickens, because I'm growing potatoes and we can swap. So at least having a small foundation to rely on. There's a lot of people that are moving into communes and living out of vans right now. It's a very normal thing that we pushed away for a long chunk of existence, and we started
Mhm.
moving into the cities and little sub. What do you call them? Cul-de-sacs, and like gating them off. And, it's admirable to want to be a part of the crowd. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't like it because I'm not part of the crowd. I never felt at home. So I'm just trying to make a home for the people that don't feel at home at the other places,
Because that was
which
something I was.
in full circle means I'm doing the same thing as them.
Well, I mean, that was something I was really impressed with you because I remember when you said, well, famously to me, that you'd said, what was it about how your phone has no social media, it has no real apps on it, it's only for porn and chess. And I thought, that's the guy that gets it. You didn't care about like the people following you, you didn't care about people, what they're writing about you. You generally just don't seem to care. And a lot of us, though, judge ourselves on, oh, I tapped, that means I'm weak. Oh, that guy's better than me. He won 2 out of 3. I got tapped in the first 30 seconds, whatever. That means I'm less of a man or whatever it is. How do you get to that point where you're training because you want to learn and develop, but not judge yourself, not care about these things?
For me, I was lucky and I was in an abusive relationship. So looking back on it, I think that was very formative. So like not only an abusive relationship in the like generational trauma like a motherfucker for the first academy that I was in, where I just took shit verbally and physically for like a decade, but also in my actual emotional life with a partner, just taking shit physically and emotionally on a daily basis. It builds a callus, and I think the callus is part of how I've become who I am because you're a fucking idiot. Like maybe I don't know. It's your fucking opinion. It's not my fault you dress like that. I can take a lot physically and emotionally, and I think that's acquired over time. But I also want to blame Black Flag, like because I had Punk, the Clash. I want to blame Joe Strummer. If I can like blame anyone, it's probably giving it 10 times back because Joe Strummer said so. Like just fucking be real. Stand up for yourself. Speak up for
No.
yourself. Like having that in my ear at a young age helped me quite a bit. So I'm lucky that I found that because I don't know, man. Maybe I'd found Tori Amos a little bit earlier, which I love Tori, but I'd probably be baking cookies and crying. Like it's formative stuff, nature and nurture. I don't know. But I do know that from day one, I've always had a, well, fuck you then kind of sensibility to me because I didn't feel like I was supposed to be there. But what are you going to do? Like, I'm here. I guess you have to deal with that now. I guess we both have to deal with that now. So for me in jujitsu, it's the corner I came out of. Ding ding. Fuck you, man. I guess you don't like me. I guess I can get beat up today. And every time you get tapped out, depending on the person, I feel like every time I got my ass kicked, I got a little bit better. I didn't like diminish. It's hard to explain. It's like if you are on those mats, there's two ways that you can view this. One, you can be the guy that's winning the game of catch, or you're the scientist in a laboratory. I always preferred to be the scientist in the laboratory, so I was comfortable saying the word tap for a very long time and asking questions like, well, why did you get me? Because you did this, this, and this. I was like, cool. Those are three things I won't be doing again. You know, I feel like if you start to view it like that and you take your fucking, just quit measuring dicks. Just go out there and be like, yeah, I'm here to get beat up so I can learn how to not get beat up. I'm not here to win fucking practice. That's impossible. 9 out of the 10 places that you go to, like with spar, they'll teach a move for 15 minutes and then it's free spar. Whew, okay, no one's really getting anything out of that, but they're getting tough. They got a black belt in tough. You know,
Mm.
I don't know. For me, I think it was just being willing to lose constantly, like morally, emotionally, physically, just being comfortable with the idea of like, whatever, fucking kill me. You know, Tom and Jerry, see how much I can take. Turns out a lot. Weird.
But that also probably shows like the resilience that you built up. You know, is that kind of I like being on myself and learning about myself and turning, you know, like looking internally rather than external and looking at the results, etc. Was that the toughest
God,
thing
the
of that 10
external's
years?
terrible. Yeah, the toughest thing in that 10 years was the physical injuries. Like it's for me, cracking a vertebrae and biting a giant hole in my tongue where an almond fell into it, like the amount of horrifying physical injuries that I could withstand within 10 years learning how to do jujitsu, that's like the precedent for what I am today. You know, like, and there's guys that went from that same club to create like a whole platform of like how to get stronger for jujitsu. Like that was the opposite of what jujitsu was supposed to be in my eyes. You know, I was being told to do 600 fucking chin-ups a day so I could pull a motherfucker's lapel down and get a choke or a back take. I
Mm.
think the miscommunication, it's like the game of telephone, where somebody said, "Oh, this is the gentle art. We're going to use what they give to us against them," and they just made it submission wrestling, and they forced things to happen. It did not happen like that for me. Those 10 years were fun because of the camaraderie, and I like violence. It's just a thing that I like. I like being in pain, and it makes me push a little harder. And then that feeling after you get hit in the nose feels amazing. You know, like I love that shit. And there are some people that look at me like, "Wow, you're fucking weird." I guess it takes a weird person to kind of like the harder version of jujitsu, you know? And I liked it, but it just seemed like nonsense to me near the end because I would accidentally be getting hit. And I'm like, I thought the whole purpose of this was for me to not get fucking hit. You know, I get elbowed in the bridge of the nose because I'm doing Z guard and shit and they're trying to pass. I'm like, my brain doesn't work like this. You know, if we're making a mixtape here, those songs don't go together, you know? So I had to draw a line in the sand and stop kind of being a paper tiger about it because I'm not against either side. I make fun of both sides. There are fucking self defense dudes that wear like camo pants and shoes on the mat, and they like stab you in the face. Like, okay, the guy stole my car spot. I don't need to shoot him 7 times in the pelvis. I need a middle ground, you know. So you got self defense dorks, and then you got sport dorks, and they're both dumb. You got to find the middle ground where you start to agree on things and we start to show each other things that work under context. Because all I want to do is tear down a wall so I can build a bridge. I think that's my only goal before I leave this shit community. Because this community has become fucking obnoxious.
It's time for a quick break. There are millions of potential products to buy, so how do you know which ones are worth your hard-earned money? Simple. You go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and explore those that will transform and improve your life. You'll find deals, listener exclusives, and special offers with some great companies. Recommendations are 100% honest and only on items Ian has tried or believes in. The companies showcased will make you a better man in all areas of your life. Simply go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and level up.
So, I mean, outside of what you've been shown, like technically, what was it? Something like when you found, Sir Hickson, what was it about it that connection, that relationship that allowed you to finally find what you needed? That part of jujitsu that is away from all the noise and the showing off and the bright, the polished turds, and actually find the part of
Yeah.
jujitsu that worked for you.
I mean, just in general, building your own bullshit filter is one of the hardest things in jiu-jitsu because you don't know what bullshit is. You could be literally sitting in a giant patty of bullshit going like, I wonder what's going to be bullshit. Like you're surrounded. It's the forest and the trees. So when you start to learn, I think one of the oldest sayings was, you have to learn everything to throw it all away. Like I think Jean-Jacques Machado said something like that. You got to learn a million moves to only do five or something.
Mm.
That's so ridiculously true. But if I was given some form of context when I started, like this is what a guard is and this is what it's for. There's no striking in this version, so we can afford to do these techniques. There's striking in this version, so we can't afford to do these techniques. We can do these. If I had someone rational explain that to me instead of saying, get out of his guard, and then me going like, what's a guard? I think it would have been better for me. I think I just wanted to fucking die when I started. And I was like, cool, I'm learning how to fight. I hope I die while I learn how to fight.
Mm.
That's the only reason I stuck around. When I came across Rickson's jiu-jitsu, because Rickson was like a fucking myth when I started. You had Choke, the VHS tape. That's it. When I started, there was no mobile devices. We didn't have those. I didn't even have a Nokia when I started. You remember Nokias? It was
Oh
like a
yes,
brick. Oh yeah, I played Snake,
with
motherfucker.
Snake,
I had a trade.
That's all I used to do with mine.
Fuck, dude. I had an orange and black Nokia tradey brick. That was the first phone I ever got. And I think somewhere like around purple, I was at an MMA place and a kid pulled out his fucking phone that I couldn't afford. I couldn't afford a fucking iPod. Like one of those little chunks that you put music on.
No.
He pulled out a phone and started looking up videos and referencing shit. Like, okay, so they're doing this on MarceloGarcia.com. Let me flip the video so we can watch it from this angle. I'm like, sorcery is this? I get thrown against a fucking pillar in the middle of a room and told I'm doing it wrong. That's all I get. You've got a device. It's the best and the worst thing ever because now not only are you able to learn, you have infinite bullshit to sift through. You don't have one room full of bullshit where you're rolling and go like, "Oh, Bob said to do it like this," and then the other guy's like, "Yeah, but Bob's a fucking idiot. Do it like this." There you go. And they're like, "Well, this one seems easier, so Bob's is stupid, and this one works. I'll do this one." And then maybe 7 years later, somebody passes through and goes like, "Well, Big Nuts is fucking stupid. Do it like this. This is easier." And you're like, "Oh, bullshit filter. If only I'd known that version way back when Bob taught that one." You know what I mean? Now you've got nothing but bullshit. You've got people that will like ram a move down your throat and say that it is the most effective fucking thing without telling you the context of what it's effective for. And then you have to sit there and you're like, well, it's got 12,000 likes, so I should probably do it. This one has 1.3 million likes. I need to drill that one. That's where we're at. Nobody's really thinking for themselves. They're going out there and trying to replicate what has more likes or what has more sales on a platform that's selling instructionals. I'm working on this instructional series this month. Like, okie dokie, you go get them, Tiger. So if we just knew like a vague lane of what we were supposed to do, I think it would help greater than all the moves we could put within that lane to achieve the goal. Does that make sense? I don't know if that
Definitely.
metaphor made sense.
Because like when I started, it was like, here's a move A, here's move B, there's move C, and not how to then move between them or how to like hold the person down, how to actually get connection, how to hold grips. It was just kind of like assumed that you could figure all that, the nuance of jiu-jitsu out. Because you said like that the concept is more important than the move. And I loved that because
Yes.
I found that it doesn't matter what move you're doing, if you understand the concepts of like alignment, balance, base, you understand jujitsu more than, oh, I could do a triple barrel bolo, double fisted, whatever,
but you can't do that if then they do something else, so it's that
That's what
principle.
for us, man. The concept of jujitsu is what jujitsu is. It's not the moves. So when you hear Rickson say jujitsu for everyone, jujitsu is the concept. It's not a collection of moves. You add the most efficient move to the concept, and no one talks about it. No one understands it. They just keep doing moves and trying to be tougher. If it like a very easy metaphor. Bullshit filter. This gets lost in translation constantly. Why don't you just punch him in the dick? Okay. Is that the most effective answer? Or is it an answer? It's an answer. But did it make the problem worse? If you can just see it within yourself to say tap and say, like, well, maybe I was wrong. Let me think about this for a little bit and try again.
Yeah.
It's the same as being on the mat. So these are the kind of people that go on the mat and never say tap because I've got to grind. I know you got to grind, man. But take a moment and go, like, maybe I'm wrong. Let me have a thinkaroo on this one. Okay, because one of the coolest things ever is literally watching Rickson unravel a problem. He didn't say the problem should never exist. I constantly say the problem shouldn't fucking exist. Like, why are you there? Why are you there? You there? You didn't have to be there. That's the first answer. But no, like, I love watching Rickson go like, okay, do it to me. And he does it. He goes, okay, again. Okay, again. Fuck you. And he finds the answer. That's how we're supposed to be pursuing this and not banging our heads on a brick wall and going like, no, it's supposed to fucking work. You don't punch a dude in the neck. Like, you can, but it's like you stick your dick in a light socket. Just because you can doesn't make it a good idea, right? So I think the big thing for me, finding the difference between what Rickson teaches and what the Gracies were trying to achieve, which I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth on this one, but it's basically Jeet Kune Do. So Jeet Kune Do was a collection of the smartest and best answers, period. That's it. And if this doesn't work, we replace it with the thing that works. So if I'm showing a headlock escape and the headlock escape works, but I found a more efficient way, take a wild guess which one I'm going to do. Is it the one that's set on the roster on the website that I have multiple affiliates doing across the globe? I don't want to lose their finances.
Yeah.
We'll keep doing that one. Or, new one, I got to do the most efficient move. That's the search. That's the journey. That's the martial art. It's the, what is it? It's not what you, it's not the fling. It's, fuck, I forgot the quote. But basically, it's not the fling itself. It's the build up to the fling. It's a Northern Exposure quote. I'm a dork.
So is that where the sort of principle of invisible jiu-jitsu comes in? It's that bit in between the flashiness, the moves, the wins, that it's that the bit of actually problem solving, understanding connection, and finding yourself through jiu-jitsu. How would you define invisible jiu-jitsu to somebody who's never really trained in the mat, but just watches the videos? It doesn't really understand that kind of concept of it.
First, this is awful. Just a heads up. I hope I'm not sponsored by that. My God. Okay. Invisible jiu-jitsu, the term itself is jiu-jitsu that you cannot see, but you can feel. That's what invisible jiu-jitsu means. So if I can go online and look up rolling back take, just because I don't like it doesn't mean that there's nothing invisible there. So even if I'm doing stuff that I don't like, there could be an invisible aspect that's hard to explain verbally and hard to see visually. You have to feel what they're doing. So if I was to do the samurai roll from quarter guard, they renamed it. Half quarter mount. I fucking hate jujitsu. Just a heads up. I remember I said, there's no such thing as quarter guard one time. And then I got like an entire mathematical equation of what we're supposed to be calling it now. But when I was back with my Nokia phone, it was a quarter guard. Fuck this job. When you have that 1 foot in, you step your leg back, wrap up the triangle, wrap up the leg, and then roll over your shoulder, you get a rolling back take. Joe Rogan famously did it with Bas Rutten during an interview, and it's beautiful and it's smooth and I love it. I don't do it at all. That move has weight distribution attached to it that nobody can see. because you can do what looks like that move. And when you do it, you just fall off. And the shit didn't work for some reason. And you have to call your coach. And your coach comes over, and instead of ecologically telling you to wing it, they physically put you in the spot and lean you in the direction correctly. And then you go, oh, that makes sense. That's what invisible jiu-jitsu is the feeling of the move, not the seeing and not the hearing. That's the term. And Rickson is famous upon saying, feel more than do. I think that's one of the sayings that I really want to live on forever. You need to feel more than do. You can watch 1,000 VHS tapes and try and unwind it yourself, or you can have a coach that helps you feel that move. That's why it's so important physically training with Rickson instead of him just like sending me videos of stuff. Like, here's a move, do the move. Okay. Every single thing that I've done with him, I wanted to feel over and over again. So there's never even a point when we're training where I have to raise my hand and say, "Can I feel that?" Every time I raise my hand, here, come here. He knows I gotta feel it. And I'm the kinesthetic one. Like maybe Scott's the verbal, maybe James is the visual. I don't know, but I think all of us needed to feel it at least once. So that's what invisible jujitsu is. You can't fucking see it. You have to feel it. And it's not a sales pitch. There's dorks out there. They're like, it's just snake oil. He wants you to fucking spend money to come and feel things. I'm sorry your life is sad. I'm very passionate about this cool thing. Don't buy it. Go buy something else. But invisible jujitsu, the idea behind it is that feeling more than doing.
Because when I heard that initially, I remember you saying that in another interview, and I was like, they're like Pokemon. I want to collect all the concepts, and then it doesn't matter which position you end up in. You know that you're in that situation. You go, okay, where's my alignment? Where's my base? Where's my where's
Yeah,
my
like
tripod? You immediately go into like, okay, now let's work it from a problem solving situation. Is that the difference between a great like Rickson compared to somebody else who's just collecting the shiny new toys each time? Like, they don't really understand jujitsu compared to somebody like Rickson who feels jujitsu.
Not necessarily, because if you're doing jujitsu, you're feeling jujitsu. So I've got friends that couldn't tell you how to tie their fucking shoe, but they're literally world champions. And I know you know who I'm talking to. So I have a lot of friends in the sport. You won't believe I have friends in the sport community. They're very good at physically doing these things, but they could not explain it whatsoever because they've physically done it over and over again until they felt which one worked the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm doing this sweep and I extend my leg just a little bit out into the left versus up into the left, that mechanically works better. They physically feel it. But if you ask them, like, you fucking sweep them, dude, come on. Why didn't you just sweep them? Do some chin-ups. It doesn't really mix for everybody. So with Rickson literally devoted his fucking life and his time to this art, and it's very commendable and respected. I love the fact that this is how his brain works. He sees the world through this lens. He doesn't just see jujitsu through this bullshit filter. He sees life through this bullshit. It's a terrible term. I should put words in his fucking mouth. He sees jujitsu in the world, balance and leverage and timing and being calm and not over or under doing something. There's layers to jujitsu that nobody talks about. Think about the idea of breath work. Why do we do breath work? Most people have no fucking idea why we do breath work. The reason we do that is specifically so we can have some kind of gauge and measure on our gas tank. Let's say, you ever play Tekken? You look like in my age. There
Oh
you
yeah.
go. So you got the two power bars, and you're beating the shit out of one guy, and the power bar goes down. My job, it depends on context. For the love of God, I have to always have like a boilerplate before I say anything. Under context, I don't have a time limit. Right now, I don't have a time limit. I can just literally slow cook you while that power bar goes down. As the power bar goes down, that's when I'm going to attack. I'm not going to attack while you're attacking the attack. I'll let you wear yourself out, then attack. So to state that even better, I challenge you to a duel. I want to fight you under these rule parameters on Thursday at 3 o'clock. Cool. I'll see you on Tuesday in an alley with a knife. I'm not here to be a champion. I'm a cunt. I literally started this because I wanted to learn how to defend myself, not to show the world how tough I am. The idea of jiu-jitsu can be taken in these lanes, right? What did Musashi do? Musashi sat on the boat whittling a fucking oar until the guy got pissed off and he overdid it. And he popped him in the head. It's a fucking strategic game. It's a physical game. It's an emotional game. It's life. The way he sees it is life. So when he's out there feeding fucking birds, like he's not thinking about your drama. there's layers to jujitsu that have nothing to do with triangles and arm bars. Has everything to do with keeping your emotions in check, being in control of yourself, and saying like, no, I'm okay. He doesn't have to like me. that's even more invisible. That's even further down the list of shit that nobody gives a fuck about, man. And I think that's the stuff that should survive more because I want my son to grow up and like hold his head high and be like, no, I'm good. I'm cool. You don't have the shoes we have. Like, yeah, I know. Your shoes look cool. That's as far as that had to go, you know? So I think jujitsu can be viewed in so many different lights. And I think it would be good for everybody to start to view it from a different angle, you know? Put a different light on it, have a different opinion on it, and start to think about it your own way. And you'll start to see it for what it really is. It's not just a martial art, it's a way of life, as opposed to it's a merit badge for tough guys.
Because that's the thing about it. You get everybody who sits there and says, gi is better than no gi. Oh, I like this 10th planet versus better than Gracie. Or, you know, they come up with all these different concepts of the parts of jiu-jitsu. But what's your opinion about competing? Do you need to compete? Does it? Because, you know, you built a whole career on teaching people things that teaches jiu-jitsu away from the scoreboard. Do you need to compete to truly know yourself, to know your jiu-jitsu, or is that just that kind of, we need the participation fees? Well, let's encourage people to come in.
There's a lot of participation fees, and you have to buy the gi. So you're not allowed to train at the academy unless you have the matching gi. It's a Ponzi scheme 90% of the time. And that's said with love. I understand that you have to keep the lights on. There's a young man that left a traditional school and started his own school, and it's all no gi, ecological, and like slow and steady as he's building this, he's realizing he has to sell a lot of t-shirts. he's trying to make the rent. So there's lanes for this. And I genuinely respect the Gracie University idea of how you run an academy because it's a streamlined, clean model. It's a fucking phenomenal business model, phenomenal teaching model. I love it. I'll do it. That's not my thing. As far as competition goes, I'm not choosing my words wisely. I like literally had to say this a million times. It depends on the person and what their goal is. Because you can be a soccer mom that wants to know how to get out of somebody pinning you on a fucking wall. Do you need to compete to learn how to get out from somebody pinning you on a wall? Absolutely fucking not. You can go to class. You can feel comfortable. You don't have to roll around with guys who might have staph or ringworm, and you can leave. Jiu-jitsu is for everyone. I don't care who fucking wants it to not be. If you are worried about altercations because your heart rate goes up and you get tunnel vision and you freak out because you've been in a couple of them and you don't know what to do, and what if it happens in real life? I don't know what I'm going to do. One of the best things ever that you can do in self-defense is compete. You can go out there and let the tunnel vision happen, let your heart rate go up, and all you have to do is say tap. That's the closest you can get to being in a fucking street fight without being in a street fight. So think of it as fear inoculation. It's the same as like get on the plane. You're like, I'm afraid of flying. Well, get on the plane. Okay. I'm afraid of fighting. Well, maybe compete. If you compete, you'll have the adrenaline dump. You're going to get the shakes. You're going to get lactic acid buildup. You're going to freak out. And what's the worst thing that happened? You lost. Did you die? No. Did you lose? Yes. Well, then that's an emotional thing for you because it's better off going out and losing something and growing as a person than it is avoiding it altogether and pretending it'll never happen. Why do you want to live in fear? You shouldn't be living in fear. Just live in dude, I do live in fear. I live in Australia. Everything's trying to fucking kill me. Fuck, dude. I grew up in Atlanta. Everything's trying to kill you. Like Atlanta in the 90s. It's just a whole thing to talk about. I'm not trying to perpetuate this thing where like you have to watch your fucking back and check your actions. Like I do because it's common sense. I like playing little games with my son. And I'm like, hey, where's our car? Which one's our car? How many men were here? How many women were here? That kind of thing. These are just like situational awareness drills that are made into games, right? If you want to get good at being under pressure, do the thing that puts you under pressure. And the safest way of doing that is competition. So if you're going out there to win, get better at the game. Like you're gonna have to get inoculated. I've got a friend who was freaked out when he first started. He ended up being a world champion. He hated doing it so much that he did it every goddamn chance he got, and now he is walking around with a shoebox full of fucking medals that he's really proud of. Fuck you, hope you're listening.
So at that point, do you
These
think
fights.
then that instead of jiu-jitsu competing as much, more guys should think about therapy? I mean, I've suffered with depression, I've suffered with like intrusive thoughts. I've tried talk therapy. It worked to an extent, but once I found NLP, CBT, oh, I was loving it because I interviewed a guy called Brent Smith on my number 2 episode, and he had this thing of you're not your thoughts, you're not the story you tell yourself. And I was kind of like, you can change your story at any moment. I was like, what do you mean? And it completely changed my life from that moment on, that I wasn't this built up story I told myself. And I was kind of like, oh, right. But I found sometimes in therapy, you keep the story alive by talking it and discussing it over and over. How did you find therapy?
My second wife forced it. It sounds like I was going out of my way to do these things. No, I was the darkest piece of shit. And this isn't one of those like boo-hoo, she fixed me stories. Like, no, this was like a social contract with us. She's like, you are so hot and I would breed with you, but you are super broken. You're gonna have to go to therapy. I was like, yes, ma'am, I could do that. So walking into the therapist office for the first time for me was like, all right, let's work on our stand-up. Like, I'm here to make the therapist crack. That was my entire shtick for like a year. It's like, I'm gonna make this fucking guy laugh. I'm gonna make this girl laugh. Because I went through a guy first, and then I found out that I'm better off talking with women. I'm a whole lot more feminine than I am fucking male. I'll tell you right now. So having a talk with a woman was a lot easier than talking to a guy. And then eventually I found my rhythm, and she was asking the right questions. And speaking of therapists, hey, sweetheart. This ain't Hollywood. What'd you say?
Should blur the back.
If you blur the background, you're stuck looking at me, and nobody wants to just be stuck looking at me. Oh, well, she's got to work. So for me, going to therapy, the very first chunk, I'm sorry, can you deal with that? Are you okay?
Aye, no, go for it. Aye.
Okay, cool. So the idea for me was I'm just going to make the therapist laugh. I was just trying my hardest until eventually she started asking the right questions and putting me in the right direction. And I ended up doing ideal parenting schema, which is the basis of what I'm trying to achieve with what I'm doing with the internet. Because I wanted to have somebody leading the way and answering fucking simple questions. You know, like when you get thrown into elementary school and then it's like, here, do an equation. Like, but how do I do my taxes? Shut up. Like, no, I wanted to know how to be like a normal, productive person. So for me, not having that kind of figure, that's what I'm trying to achieve. Kind of like, you ever seen that YouTube page where it says Ask Dad?
Oh, yeah, I've interviewed him.
How good is that? So literally, he just goes on there and he's like, this is a socket wrench, and this is how you use it. You're doing great, and I love you. That's all I wanted. Fuck it, man. That's what I'll do for the jiu-jitsu community. This is a hip escape. You're doing mediocre. You can do better. I love you. So for me, therapy was realizing what I wanted and what I can give, and then coming to terms with myself more than anything, because I didn't like me for a really long time. And I had to do that thing where you stand in front of the mirror like, I'm a good person. I deserve to be loved. I'm a good person. I deserve to be loved. Exactly what you were saying about the neural pathways, and you can rewrite the way you think about yourself. Because when I met her, she was like, just be happy. I was like, what are you fucking retarded? Like, how can I just be happy? There's so much to be mad at. It's just judging me from behind.
No, but
You can just be happy. They can't hear you. You fucking stay out of this. This is my light.
sorry. No, I live.
You what?
I really can't work if you're seeing my screen.
Oh, bummer. It's almost like I organized this too.
Move the camera.
How do I move the camera? You want them to look at your monstrosity instead?
And zoom it in.
Zoom it in. Can you see your
I'll
cat?
get fired.
She works for Industrial Light and Magic. She's won an Oscar, heads up. So she's
Yeah.
actually a real person that does real cool things. I wrestle on the ground. No. There we go. Let's, is this okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you see me?
Are you okay for time? Because I've just realised how much of your time have been used up.
No, I'm good. I don't have to do anything until 3.
Jeez.
Dude, this is awful.
Don't drink it.
You can't. It's got taurine in it. I have to drink it. What are you doing? Don't blur.
What?
I think she's going to try and blur you. I hope you can edit with Star Wipes.
No, I want to see if you can zoom in. I can't.
You don't
Let
want
me
to zoom
zoom
in on this.
No.
I'm sorry I'm back. I'm going to ignore her from now.
No, if life happens, that's what I was saying to you. It's like life happens, and I think that's what we forget. Is everybody assumed we see the polished article, the guy standing on the podium and all that. We don't
Trust
see
me, you know.
we don't see all the rest of it. Like, but what was it you went in believing about yourself that changed when you came out of therapy? Was there a kind of a key thing that you thought?
Yeah, I hated myself and I wanted to die. And the only reason I was alive is because I was like, fuck, man, what if something really cool happens tomorrow? You know, like maybe everything will pick up tomorrow. And that was the only thing that really kept me going. And then I met her and she just kept being cool and I kept being happy. And it's the first time I'd felt happy in a very long time. So that gave me pause and was like, we'll continue going to therapy because maybe it just keeps getting better every single day. And I started waking up and going like, I get another day like this because I had like the worst fucking days. Like, I get another day like this, fucking kill me. And then in the back of my head, I'd be like, fucking kill me. Like, at least I get to die in battle kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, walking out of there and going, oh, that's not normal. That's not normal at all. You know, it's okay to like relax and like let your jaw unclench, take a deep breath. I feel like my big takeaway was not only a direction and understanding that I don't deserve to suffer. Like I'm going to suffer, but I don't deserve to suffer, which was something that I carried with me for a long time. Like there's no reason that I should be happy. And then I just started being happy. And then I was like, oh, fuck, she was right. I could just be happy. And sometimes it comes back and bites me in the ass. You know, like I'll be sitting alone for more than 10 minutes and then the stress will start to build up. And I'm like, the fuck is she doing here? Why am I here? What is he doing here? What is this all about? Why the fuck am I even alive? How am I still alive? Jesus Christ. And it builds up, builds up, builds up, and gets really dark. But then the next day something cool happens. So I've got a friend, she's in therapy, and she messages me like all the time. And we send each other pictures of things that make us happy. You know, like just here's a quick reminder of why I'm not dead today. So like I'll send pictures of my puppies or the ocean and sunset. And like I went to a jazz concert. Like fuck, am I doing a jazz concert? Like random things and random adventures. You know, they keep my heart in line. You know, they keep me at this weird sense of peace and curiosity. Like I'm less bitter. not fully unbitter, but I'm less bitter. Like I think the spite and bitterness and recalcitrance literally have formed what I'm doing as a job and as a I don't know, for lack of a better term, following my bliss, and my bliss is spite.
I love that summary.
Fuck you. Like, no, you can do this better. And oh my God, shut up. You're not special. So here, help other people. Be of service to your community instead of service to your fucking self. Because that's what fills the void the best. All the sadness and depression that I carry, I balance that out by helping other people and seeing their eyes light up and going, holy shit, man, I can do this? I didn't know I could do this because the last place the guy just beat the shit out of me. You taught me how to do something and it worked. And then they walk out the door. I'm like, I'm a good person. I deserve to be loved. So as opposed to like collecting a bunch of fucking trophies and like, I died a hero today on the padded mats. Like, yeah, all right. You got your calling in life. My calling is to show, you know, like soccer moms how to get out of headlocks. Fuck you.
That's a good fucking calling, man. Did you find that kind of like, because you're very calibrated to my honesty, you're very calibrated to saying exactly what you feel and not kind of like, not mollycoddling people, let's say. Do you find that it was a struggle at first? Did it kind of like cause issues with relationships and things? Or how did you find your tribe of people, your friends, the mentors, the people that let you be you?
Well, no one lets me be me. So that's the thing. It's just me, and they deal with it, or they leave. So I've never looked for anybody. They found me. So I'm not going out of my way to try and make a collection of people that I kind of, sort of, maybe know. The ones that are around the longest just become family eventually. The ones that, like you said, like it's a vibe, it's a wavelength. It's not performative. I'm not trying. I was on a podcast like a couple months ago, and the guy was like, "How did you create your brand? How did you create this personality for the computer?" I'm like, "Nope, nope. It's just years of getting hit in the head. This is just me, and I'm just being me on camera, and it worked for some reason." So I guess people are tired of everyone trying to be something that they're not to get attention. And then the one guy who didn't want fucking attention started getting attention. I'm not in charge of this, and I wasn't searching for it either because I've been. There was a comment the other day. It was like, "We all know you hired a marketing team." Like, nope. That woman started filming me, and that woman found the BJJ project, and the BJJ project invested all of their time and money into selling the idiot. So there's no version of me that was trying to collect anything. I think it was just lead by example, and it took 44 years to find anyone that gave a shit. Because I was super, super alone for about 20 years. I was just sleeping in a hammock and fighting all day. That's it. Like I didn't hang out. I didn't go out to parties. I don't have friends. I've got a family. I don't really have a social life. I
So
have
how did
notebooks.
so how did becoming a father change that? Like the view of the
Oh
world of
God,
what
I can't
you.
swear as much. Like trying to be a. I think the biggest thing that changed for me was trying to dial back the language because he is a sponge, literally a walking sponge. Everything I say and do, he does. So I was that before that because I know everything I say and do, somebody's going to replicate because I'm a teacher. Like four wheels, brake fall, standing base, back wheel, brake fall. I came into a class one time and one of my instructors was literally like a parrot version of me. And I was like, ooh, okay, I should watch my fucking shit. They're just trying to do what I'm doing. And then I had a kid and I was like, oh, he got in he gets keep well, he was getting in trouble at school. And yeah, for me, it's realizing that this is a very malleable human and I need to be on my best behavior. So yelling in traffic, let it go. Like don't get angry for no reason. Really trying to tone that shit down because I got a lot of anger issues and I don't want my son running around fucking jackass. You know? So as opposed to like taxation is theft. I think that's funny. He's got that really cute kid voice, so I have him say red rum all the time. Red rum. Taxation is theft. Like funny shit. But other than that, I'm just trying to lead by example and not be a piece of shit.
It's like my dad does jujitsu and I'm doing red rum. That is quite terrifying, to be honest.
He comes in, he's doing Kali. So I train with Ray Floro, and it's a different kind of version of Kali because the longer I do this, the more I notice that it's the exact same as Jiu-Jitsu. And you got your little 10th planet over here, your Baja over here, and everybody hates everybody and the shit on each other. I wanted the most effective and realistic variation of a theme, and I found it through Ray. And we have fencing masks, and my son's running around with a stick and a fencing mask. So hopefully he gets into weapons more than he gets into cuddling on the floor.
And what was the thing that you are focusing on with being the father? Are you tr- trying to give him that father that you didn't have at that point, and finding to make sure, like, what is there anything that you're afraid to pass on to him yet until you've dealt with it yourself?
I'm afraid to pass him a phone. I don't think he needs one of those fucking things. Those are awful, awful things, just filled with hate. Like the internet is 90% people shitting on things to feel better about themselves. They're not trying to help each other in any way, shape, or form. Well, everything is depends on where you go. So the one thing I don't want to pass down to him is social media. So I want him to be able to think for himself. I want him to be able to have his own opinions, and I don't want him to fear being himself. So I think that's something I definitely don't want to pass down is the physical object, but the moral aptitude of being able to sit straight and go like, no, I like me, I'm okay. You know, jujitsu is kind of part of our life, whether we choose it or not in this family. So I'm never going to force him to do jujitsu. It just exists in the background. Like we play little games, like don't let me touch your face. You never seen that at Jiu-Jitsu Academy, by the way. Don't let me touch your neck. Don't let me touch your face. Like little things like that. Say no, no. That's cool. What I would like him to do is basically become his mom. Like I'm still kind of broken. So if he can follow the path where he gets an Oscar, I'm a lot happier than the path where he has a broken spine and a thing with whiskey.
Is it good whiskey?
Lagavulin. Lafroy or Lagavulin? I don't know what kind you like. You're Scotland, right?
We'll have to get you over and get you a few whiskies in you because there's a lot of good tours and stuff around this way.
Oh, my wife did one. She went over there and did a whole whiskey tour. She has taste. Sort of. She has taste. In whiskey, not men.
So you've had a lot of injuries over the years, and you've talked a lot about them. But what has it taught you about your body telling you that maybe you didn't want to hear about our longevity or legacy? What it means in the grand scheme of things?
Honestly, I did not expect my body to last as long as it did to begin with. So there was no version of me that was desperate to be. Who's that fucking guy? There's a good bit by Bill Hicks. Fuck, there's the cue ball fucking bit. Somebody out there got the joke. My body's gonna die. I'm well aware of that, and I wanted to push and see how far I could go. So all the physical injuries were just gained because of not stupidity so much as lack of being shown how to defend myself. Because when you're put into the sport of jiu-jitsu, 9 times out of 10, and I'm very adamant about this, 9 times out of 10, you're not taught how to preserve your body at all. You're taught how to strength or flexibility your way out of situations to win something.
Yeah.
The big thing for me was having my spine compacted, doing the tornado guard, and then slipping a bunch of discs and then cracking a vertebrae and then going like, this is normal. It's not normal, dude. It's not normal at all. The fact that you have to go to a clown college to learn how to be super flexible to avoid your foot locks is not fucking normal. You should understand the basic foundations of self-defense before you start adding the game to it. That way you can start to walk backwards on your shoulders so you don't get stacked. There's a bunch of shit there. But for me, knowing that my body won't last has been from day one. So I wasn't here to make my body last. I'm just in maintenance mode at all fucking times with injuries. I go to the gym specifically because I wanted to have pecs as a kid. That's it. I'll do bench press because I never had pecs. I was like, I'm gonna fucking make this happen one day. But the rest of it is like I'm on an incline, like doing calf raises for my knees, like inverted calf raises. Like I'm protecting my body through exercise at this point.
Is that now part of what drives you forward? It's like producing the content to get people to understand, to showcase jiu-jitsu in the way it should be, because you realize now that we are like memento mori, we are going to die. We don't always have the time that we think we do.
I don't think that was actually something I was readily thinking about. I was just trying to fill a void that was never filled for me. So for me, it was just thrown into the deep end and see if he drowns. That's just the school I came from. And I'm like, fuck you, I will swim. You don't know how to swim. I'm fucking swimming. That's just what I was. And I'm lucky that I got as far as I did before I found the jujitsu I was looking for. And now the thing about the jujitsu I was looking for is that it was gate kept and hidden for a very long time. Nobody would share it, and if you shared it, you're a fucking traitor. Like, there's a lot of people that kind of hid it away and then just pretended that they made it. but they didn't. It's there and it's for everybody and it's there to be shared, especially the self-defense side of things. So the idea of being able to control the middle through weight distribution and connection, shit like that, I think everyone should know that. And all I want to do is make sure that I pass this on and I don't keep it to myself and hand it down to a small chunk of people that suck up to me the most. I want every single person to be able to have this so that all the ships rise with the tide. So if I pass it down, and this is less about salesmanship than anything for me because I'm fucking terrible with that. They are good at selling me. I'm good at yelling. I yell on camera and they're like, oh, we can make this marketable. It's this weird thing where it's like, he's going for that, I don't want to be a salesman dollar. That's a huge market. Like, I was yelling about this in the desert. I was yelling about this by the ocean. I was yelling about the second I found it, I devoted myself to sharing it to everybody that I could get my hands on. And then a woman started filming me, and now I'm still sharing it to everybody I can get my hands on. It's less about the paycheck, unfortunately, sorry. And it's more about doing what I think is right because it's helping more people. Because they're going to be able to take this and then they can refine on top of this instead of refining on top of Barambolos. Please don't kill me, Barambolo people. Like, I don't feel like that needs to be refined and shared. Like, it's a thing. And now, like, you've done 4,000 versions of that one thing that's elusive. You don't really need it, but it's there. So, but meanwhile, not getting punched in the face is one of those things you kind of fucking need. Whatever.
Because that's what I like about your stuff. It's you're not just talking about how to do this, how to step out of that, how to, how to position yourself correctly here. You also talk about life in general. How would you explain, that following your bliss, not just as a quote, but as a kind of a life approach for a new person, somebody returning to jiu-jitsu, the soccer mom, the guy who's coming back, who's never done any exercise for 20 years and his kids are worried about his health. How can they find their, follow your bliss on jiu-jitsu to actually be happier, healthier, safer people?
Their bliss might not be jiu-jitsu. Their bliss could be knitting. Like the whole idea of following my bliss. Like the short side note, we went on like a little mini honeymoon to Tasmania, and we got like a nice little 1 bedroom on a balcony overlooking nothing but nature and this one little lake. And it's like this tiny little hut with a fireplace in the corner and a bed, and there was a toilet. And the toilet faces the window, and the window is wide open to this gorgeousness. And I'm reading Follow Your Bliss while I'm taking the most epic shit of my life. And I'm thinking, this is my bliss. this literal moment. It's less about what goal can I conquer, and it's more about what makes me feel right in being alive. If my bliss is going to the $2 shop and buying a bunch of crappy trinkets and fake coins to put into a fake treasure chest to bury in my backyard and make a cool map for me and my son to follow to dig up pirate treasure, that's not jiu-jitsu. That's following my bliss. That's my day. I'm going to do that today. And that's why I love Rickson, because it's like literally like, I got a thing at 2, we're going to do an interview. He's like, I don't know, man, I saw a hummingbird. I fucking love him. It's like, no, I like that. So he's got shit to do. He thinks on his own little wavelengths. I think following your bliss doesn't have anything to do with jiu-jitsu so much as, why are you doing jiu-jitsu? Are you doing it to learn how to defend yourself? If you're learning to defend yourself to take care of your family, that's your bliss. You have a reason behind doing something that makes you feel right in your heart, right? So what if I had to knit to save my family? Following my bliss. So maybe your bliss is Kali, maybe your bliss is boxing. It's up to you. But I think jiu-jitsu as a whole it forces you to live in the present moment and be under pressure, resolving problems, living with consequences. I think it's one of the purest forms. It's the same as surfing for me. Like the wave does what the wave wants. Like I'm not in charge, but I can learn how to ride it. I can learn how to be a part of it. I can look up at the sky when the rain starts to fall and enjoy this moment. It's the same thing as if I'm stuck in a fucking crucifix. I gotta get out of this. Shit's happening. It's a beautiful moment because you're living in that moment. So I think jiu-jitsu is one of the purest possible things Same as surfing, same as, I don't know, riding a horse. You know, you're not really in charge, but you can be in charge. But following your bliss could be different for everybody.
Because you're probably one of the few people I've had on who I genuinely believe could just lose everything, the platform, the social media, the BJJ project, all that kind of stuff, and you could go back to being in the hammock, doing jiu-jitsu, having the ocean as your feeling at home, doing all that kind of stuff, and being happy.
You might say it's preferential. So, sorry, BJJ project.
But what is it about that would scare you? Is there anything? Is that because that's like the Cato thing? You've had the hardest points, you've done the hardest things, so to fall
No,
back to that,
no,
you already
I'm
know
not.
the hardest thing.
No, I don't know the hardest thing because everybody's got way harder lives than I've ever had. You know, like I haven't watched a child die. You know, like fucking hope I never do. Ever in
Mhm.
my goddamn existence do I want to lose my child. I can't imagine my life being that. You know, like that's horrifying to me. So there's no version of me that's been through the hard yards. Like the hard yards are different for everybody. For me, not having the BJJ projects, okay. No offense, I love those guys, and they're super sweet guys. Not having Sheila filming me on a weekly basis and telling me, "Come on, make it viral." Oh, God forbid. Like, love Sheila, but holy shit, that's like the last thing on my list of shit that I want to do for the week. No offense, Sheila. I really genuinely enjoy teaching jujitsu, but then like by the fifth class of the day, I'm fucking tired. You know, and it's like, hey, there's two
Mhm.
brown belts that want to come in. They just want to spar with you to see if you're real. Like, oh my fuck, it's not a fun job, dude. It's not a fun job at all. It's just a dick measuring contest on a daily basis. If all of this went away and I got to bury treasure in the backyard and hang out with my kid, awesome. Yay. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a job at fucking McDonald's. My side quest would be to start a burger stand by the beach, and it would have like a bar at the front with little seats. It's gonna be a grass hut, little seats, and you can sit at the bar and have your burgers. But underneath, there's a smaller bar with dog bowls, and dogs are always welcome, and they get little mini burgers. So I have like a burger dog hut thing, and just look at the ocean, drink fucking mojitos. I think that could be an awesome bliss challenge.
That's bloody
Yeah,
sounds
we're on,
good to me.
motherfucker. Full Captain
That's
Ron
it.
lifestyle. I can dig it.
That certainly sounds good to be honest. So
What good would that
what are
be?
you still searching for now? Like if through jujitsu, through therapy, through fatherhood, what are you still coming to terms with now? Is there things that you are setting healthier goals for yourself? Are you incorporating new habits, or are you just kind of being just enjoying being happy?
I like the river version of me is enjoying being happy. I like being challenged. So I like achieving goals. So for me, I think the jujitsu side of things, my goal, there's a big announcement coming up for Rickson Academy and for BJJ Project and a bunch of stuff. When that big announcement comes out, I have a specific set series of goals after that. For me, what I would like personally, I would like to refine the weapons defenses and weapons retention for Gracie Jiu Jitsu. That's my side quest right now. Because like they're not wrong, but I feel like they can be added to and refined. The same as Jiu Jitsu. They're not wrong, but they can be added to and refined. Like the headlock defense. Dave Kama just literally showed a new thing to a student. I learned it probably like a couple months ago. Now it's part of our curriculum. You know, it's not like this is like it's not rote. We're not making that set list and that's it. The set list is here because it's the best answers. I want to see if I can find better answers. Like when we go and visit Hickson, like Scott showed a better answer to a thing, and that's in the curriculum now. Like that's kind of our job. You know, we're refining the important stuff. So for me, my goal, the more my body ages, the more I need lines of defense. So as far as I'm concerned, like I love the threat matrix. I did you know any of this kind of stuff like OODA loop and shit?
I have heard of the
Somebody out
threat
there got the
matrix,
dork reference. Okay,
but
so
I
like
don't know
a
the
blunt force, like stabby stab, guns. Because my time in America was spent with a lot of firearms training. And since I'm over here, I've been doing a lot more Kali, knife, and I took up fencing. So doing fencing as a part-time hobby has kind of led into positions of attack and angles that I've never seen before. So kind of looking at things from different angles and distance management. Distance management is more important than the moves I can add to it. So that's kind of what I'm dicking around with as my little side quest of notebooks hobby. And maybe I can make a dent in the bookshelf one day of Gracie Jiu Jitsu. But outside of that, my goals are to be happy and like be loved. So feeling loved is really nice. That's different for me. Like my son hugging me in the morning, my wife tolerating me, it's the best. The dog's trying to fucking murder me every time I wake up. This is the best feeling I've ever had. So I'm just going to kind of lean into it until they hate
It's great to see you happy. That's the part. Like, it's the smile. It's the you're just enjoying life. And for somebody who's gone through depression and intrusive thoughts and all that myself,
me.
when I
Nobody on
see
the
it,
internet likes seeing that.
when I actually see it in somebody, like true happiness, I go, yeah, that's what we are all seeking. And I think you've made a great case for using jiu-jitsu as that vehicle to find it, but also using therapy, etc. But you do collect a lot of like notebooks where you write down stuff. Do you journal a lot? What is it in the notebooks now that if you look back, not just the jiu-jitsu moves, but what would you learn from your thoughts, your feelings, the memories you've recorded?
And this is supposed to be an interview on me, but fuck me. Tell me a little bit about you with your struggles and like what have you done with it? Because I feel like you have a lot to say on this subject. Like, what did you go to therapy for?
Oh
And
man,
how
I've
did it
tried.
affect you? How did it help you?
Well, I've tried talking therapy, and I just found it just kept it alive. The first few times it's fine, you talk it, and it's kind of like, oh, that's a good insight. Oh, that's interesting. But it gets to that point where you just go, yeah, but we've just gone back around the house again. We haven't actually tackled that and then moved to this. We're just juggling this to then talk about this. That then leads to that. And it goes round and round and round. You don't feel like you ever finalize it. You don't feel like you're actually making progress after a few weeks. But once I found about CBT, NLP, like challenging the thought of actually going, is that true? Or is that what my brain is using with the bias? Is that true? Does that mean about me, or is that just a thought because I've built that programming? And what it actually means in life, and I'm actually challenging my brain, thinking not everything comes in is true, but we carry this mental prison around in our heads. It's like you would never speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself, but we do that on a daily basis, and we carry
I
this
would.
thing round judging our lives. How
Mm.
did you find therapy helpful in that sense, just to actually be able to say it out loud, to let that energy out?
I've always been okay with that. My issue was not people liking me because it was like the absolute opposite for me. It was more being able to deal with myself and liking me again. Because I didn't like me for a long time and I really wanted to suffer because I thought I deserved to suffer. And then by the end of that, it was like, yeah, okay, I don't deserve to suffer so much. So it was less about, I don't know how I'm going to communicate with other people. I'm going to communicate bluntly and with dick jokes because it's been doing me a justice for about 45 years. So I didn't have trouble with that. I still don't. It's less about stage presence and trying to get somebody to like me because the last thing I kind of want is that. It seems like a responsibility to me. Like I get messages from really sweet people like, how are you doing? I'm like, oh fuck, I have to talk to this person. I really want to just do nothing. Right? Like they're such a nice person. I really need to message back. And I've got like way more than I had before now because I keep meeting all these beautiful, interesting people, and I'm just not a good friend. I'm trying. Like I've had friends that have known me for 20 fucking years, and I don't know what they do for a living. I can't tell you to save my fucking life, but I love the person.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't feel like that's a part of me that needs to be fixed so much as it needs to be dealt with by friends.
And what
I'm an
did you
acquired
find?
taste. Like, fuck out of here. Go acquire more tastes. Sorry.
What did you find that worked for you to let, because that's something I really struggle with, is believing that I'm good enough, that I self-sabotage whenever I get into the light. I always kind of go, if I'm competing, I'll do something stupid to throw away the round rather than giving my all. I'll find any excuse to talk myself down, belittle myself with, and I'm just kind of like, I do it now so often I don't even think about it. How did you find to fall back in love with yourself? Yes, we can do jiu-jitsu, yes, we can try therapy and stuff, but were there things that actually worked for you to find to let you be you and love the version of yourself?
No, I don't. I'm still working on it, man. I don't really like myself all the time, because I'm doing what I don't like for a living, like a chunk of it. I don't, nobody would ever believe it that this is the last thing I want to fucking do with my time. Like not this, I'm being rude to you, being rude in general. So the idea of having to be the social media or is like not my jam. It was never my jam. It's never going to be my jam, but I'm here. It's one of those things where I think me liking me is more about how did I carry myself today? Like, what did I do right today? Not what was right for me. How did I do the best thing for me? Like, I give myself one treat every day to keep the day alive. But mostly my day is in devotion to my family and my academy. And I'm assuming my students now, my online students. So that's the way I view it to be able to get by. Like, I've got to film this because I know it's helping this person in the middle of the deserts who has fucking nothing compared to this. All they're surrounded by is like sport fuckery and making fun of them. If I record this, at least I know they're going to see this and they go, yeah, oh man, I'm going to go practice this with the other guys. I know I did something right. I go and pick up my son a little bit early and I bring a cool snack and I put him on my shoulders and we get to go outside for a little bit. And he's so happy. Yeah, I did it right. Anything I can do to be of service to other people that are close to me makes me feel like my existence is worth tolerating. And I know that sounds dark, but like I don't know. I feel like I have to earn my meal. Like if I didn't work, I just kind of existed and just took the air out of the fucking world for nothing, just so I could binge Netflix and fucking do nothing. I feel like I don't know. It's something I need to go to more therapy about. Like maybe I deserve to binge Netflix. I don't fucking know. But sometimes I'll be able to chill for a second, but most of the time I'm trying to be of service. And my treat at the end of the day, like I'm gonna get dumplings. Fuck yeah. At 6 o'clock, I'm getting dumplings. Done. Done. I'm done. The service is over. Dumplings. And maybe the treat was go see the ocean. Maybe the treat was another chapter in this book that I've been putting off. Like I give myself like a little reward every once in a while. That helps me. But outside of that, like I don't do the mirror thing anymore. Sometimes I have to. I look in the mirror, I'm like, it's cool, dude. You're not a piece of shit. You got this. You're doing great. But fuck, dude, depression, it's heavy. There's a dark cloud and it's just following at all fucking times. And whether I let it take over the day, and I sit around feeling sorry for myself, or I go, it's cool, man. I got this, and this that need to get done. Shit. Sometimes it gets done. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 days to get it done, but at least it's there. For me, like back when I was drawing comic books, it wasn't the comic book itself. It was the act of creation that kept me going. I would stay up all night, like inking, like diligently fucking like working. I don't know what I'm working on. I didn't even have a story one time. I just started fucking drawing. Like no story. I just needed to do something creative. I had to fill the void. If I don't fill the void, fucking finish it. So I think I think everybody carries that. And we just fill that void with different things. Maybe we fill it with jujitsu and we make it our life because I got to get ready for the comp. I got to get ready to drill with that fucking guy down the street at 3 o'clock. Like you fill the void in different ways. How you fill the void is up to you. Like, I've got to go and work with those fucking mushrooms. oh my God, the strawberries are coming in. We all fill that void. So how do you feel it? At least it could be helpful for other people.
I
That's the
mean,
version that makes me feel okay.
that version of you, the one that gives back to others, that helps others, that's the part that you should be the most proud of. The part, that has found that value in yourself and knowing where they're coming from and able to teach them. And yes, using jiu-jitsu as a vehicle, but there's a lot of times you do videos where you sit at the side and answer questions. And, you talk about books and you talk about life. And I think that's, go back to like this whole tribalism thing, is you haven't made it your whole personality. You just explain that and say, I've been dark. This is how I've figured out. This is what works for me. This is how it helps me. And jiu-jitsu needs more people like you. And I think it's probably something that
No,
maybe
it needs more sex offenders. We need way more sex offenders and bullies. We don't have enough bullies doing jujitsu, shitting on other people. We need more of those. Keeps the blood thin. No, I appreciate that. That's very sweet of you, and it's something that kept me going for a long time. Like altruism became my thing because I was so depressed, and I just wanted to suffer physically. Like if I'm suffering physically, I swear to God, it was like Fight Club, the book, the movie, where if I get the shit kicked out of me, I'm not caring about all the verbal abuse. Like a small woman can't physically abuse me like that fucking giant did today. She can yell at me, but I can take that too. So I would go to jujitsu and just take my abuse, and I'd be so fucking wrecked that I'm like, nothing really matters. So is that your blood? Some of it, yeah. Like who gives a shit? That helped me for a long time. Helped air bunnies. And then eventually, like a white belt would come in, and I would show them how to get out of a guard, and I'd explain what a guard is, and they would be really happy. And I'd be like, "Oh, that feels better. I helped a person." And every time I helped a person, I felt really good. Like, oh, I feel like I have a purpose other than suffering. And that kind of mutated and calcified over time into this spiteful mess that you see before you. But the idea of altruism, it goes dark places too, because like I know people that use it as a facade, like a character. Like I'm here to help, and this town would fall apart without me. Like literally using altruism to look the part. So it goes both ways. You got to watch out on that shit. Like just trying not to be a cunt. That's pretty much the goal in life. It's so hard, and you don't want to admit it that maybe you're being a cunt. Like, you should take a step back, tap. Maybe I should watch my mouth. I don't know. It fizzled out at the end. I thought there was going to be a big bang at the end, like social media viral thing, but it's not. Mostly dick jokes.
No, I mean, to be honest, like that's the kind of thing we need is to people to remember. It's like, yeah, you do jujitsu, but not a lot of people know what it is unless you're in this particular niche. And you see these people on, and they'll say stuff about politics and race and religion, and I'm sitting there going, what world are you in that you think like that just because you do like they win certain competitions, it means that they're right about Trump, they're right about like like immigration and stuff like that, and you're like,
Oh,
sorry, what
God.
world are we in here?
Please tell me your feelings about ice. You are retarded. You're not smart. You're so slow. So slow. You're physically capable of doing all these cool fucking things, but having a mind of your own and not being a parrot, that is horrifying because there's some phenomenal athletes out there that really want you to know their political leanings. Wow. That's what you're using your platform for, not for helping people, but for pushing your agendas. To be fair, I'm pushing my agenda, but my agenda is not political so much as it's logical.
I
My
just
idea of logic is different to other people, though. So
I just see a lot of guys struggling, and they're using drink and drugs and fighting at the weekends, and and then they say to you like, well, what do you want to do with your life? And they're like, don't know. And they've been dictated by society, by girlfriends, by family to do a job they don't like. And, Fight Club, yes, it has its flaws, like in the whole kind of like their plan at the end and all that. But you sometimes think, they maybe were on the right path. That we have become such a society dictated by all this stupid stuff. It's like, was it like having the better couch than the Joneses, having a car that's better than the neighbors to impress people you don't even like? What books have you had the biggest impact on you?
Tell the readers to go to that one or to do the Monkey Wrench Gang for Chuck's homosexual daydream, because that is the no one really gets it. But yes, he had a very dark political leaning and anarchy and nihilism. Nope, it was one big long gay joke, and I loved it. It is one of the funniest books I've ever read. So he is comedy gold. And I know there's a lot of emotion and sadness behind it, but most funny things come from sad things. So if you're not going to laugh, you're going to cry. So the darker the humor, the darker the humor, the funnier that shit is. So Fight Club, as far as I'm concerned, is a black comedy. It's one long, thick, veiny dick joke. Outside of that, like the Monkey Wrench Gang, and I think the Suicide Club, the books that kind of led the way for that, of just, oh, what was the Santa Claus thing? I forgot. I'll remember it later after the podcast. But reading wise, like, I enjoyed Thoreau's Walden and Civil Disobedience, and The Forced Passage. That's interesting. But these are just books about questioning the idea of what we're building. What is the society we're building? Is it really a good thing? Really? Do you want to take a step back and think about that? Because we have the UFC on the White House lawn right now. Has anybody seen the movie Idiocracy? And I don't have political leanings. I hate all sides. So there's no version of me that's like, oh, I'm red, I'm blue, I'm white. No, nothing. I want nothing to do with this nonsense. It's the same thing as tribalism. It's grand falloonery. That's all it is. Any Kurt Vonnegut fans out there? So it's, as far as I'm concerned, I have no political or religious leanings whatsoever. I am me, and I contain multitudes. There you go. There's some Walt Whitman reference. So books, for the love of fucking Christ, read a book. Don't look at the YouTube. Don't look at the phone. Don't watch a documentary on a book. Read the book and take 20 minutes of silence and think about it for yourself. That's a big one. So if I had to push anybody towards a political leaning, it would be to literally think for themselves. So it's a gentle suggestion. I'm still going. It smells like poop. We have a puppy. The whole house smells like poop. Oh no. There's this surprise poop waiting for all of us somewhere. There's the moral of the story. It smells like poop. You can't find it. It'll show up eventually.
Well, I've used it far too. I think, my sister's just got they've got border collies and she's in pup, so I can't wait for them to come out. The best dog in the world. Like, what would you want people to take from this? Until we can do a round two and, solve all the world's problems, what would you want people to take from this, about jiu-jitsu, about life, about being happy, loving yourself, finding yourself, therapy? Is there a message, or is it just don't be a cunt?
I would stick with don't be a cunt, but I think a good message to leave any listener with is to be willing to try and fail. So failure is the first step towards, being excellent at something. So if I can say this directly to the jiu-jitsu audience, you're not supposed to win the game of catch. Some of the best competitors out there are welcome to the idea of saying tap 1,000,000 times. That way they can start to problem solve and they progress faster. It's not about who's toughest and who grinds harder and who can sit in the ice bath the longest. It's literally, you're in a fucking padded room, by the way. I don't know how you can feel tough in a padded room. You're in a padded room practicing things. You don't win practice. So try not to focus on that. And I'm not just talking to white belts and elite. I'm talking to black belts. You should practice getting good at things. So positional sparring with bigger words, you should do that more often. And you shouldn't focus on winning positional sparring so much as learning and feeling comfortable in these positions and finding comfort in uncomfortable places, then capitalizing. Then maybe like once or twice a week, depending on how well your body can take it, live spar. And then how deep do you want to go with your live sparring? So if I cut a line in the sand, if you're stuck at a sports academy, and I really said those words, if you're stuck at a sports academy, because I get a message every single day. How do I practice this kind of jujitsu when these guys just want to do all this? Okay, so you have to start to think for yourself. You're going to be at that sports academy. And when you spar with your partners, you need to put in your own parameters. You shouldn't be focused on winning. Maybe you should focus on how do I stand back up? How do I get back to my knees? How do I get back to standing? How do I start from a submission, escape the submission, and go back to standing? Not about how do I pass this guard? That belongs on this side of the tracks. If I'm in an altercation and I get taken down to the ground, God forbid, I'm on my back and I don't have my legs and hands in front of me to guard myself, maybe my focus this week is starting from underneath side control and getting back to a guard, and then letting them pass the guard and getting back to the guard. So you can train the way you want to train, not the way that society dictates, right? Like you can wear whatever shoes you want. You don't have to wear the cool kids' shoes. You don't wear pink on Wednesdays. It's okay to just be you, and you've got your goals. And these are my goals. So maybe pick your goal. Maybe your goal is to have a training blade. Maybe you're carrying a 43X. Maybe you need to draw. Maybe that's your goal. So start to cater and tailor your training to your goals instead of the goals of the academy. And if the academy doesn't like your goals and they start making fun of you, you're in a pretty toxic environment. And that just comes back to therapy and seeing red flags and going like, okay, I don't think I need to conform to these rules. Maybe I can just leave. I don't have to be a part of this. You're not stuck there. You can physically walk the fuck away. So I think the big takeaway is to start to, if you're doing jujitsu, really don't lie to yourself and think back to why you started jujitsu. Did you start jujitsu because Joe Rogan said it was cool? Or did you start jujitsu because somebody pushed you around in high school and you didn't know what to do about it? Now you're 35 and you're ashamed of that one moment. Maybe you've got a kid and you're really worried about protecting your kid. What do you do? I'm not sure if you're going to leg drag past somebody in the street when somebody is trying to fuck with your kid. And there's no version of me that's going to hope that I can knock this motherfucker out. But I guarantee I can manage the distance to manage the damage. And shit's going to get worse. So it depends on the person and their goals. Don't let people tell you who to be. And if a bully says you're ugly, say, yeah, that's cool, man. All good. I like you. Even though I don't. We're fine. It's all good. I can just be ugly. You just don't fucking cater to the cunts. Go be a good person and do what's good in your heart. Hard to come by these days.
I love that. That's a beautiful message. So, how can we follow this journey? How can we connect with you? How can we see the jiu-jitsu stuff, but also just listen a bit more? And as you talk about therapy, as you talk about fatherhood, as you find out more about life, and you give out these messages. How can we follow along on this journey you're on?
I wouldn't follow me. I'd go to Rickson Academy. My cross to bear is that I keep pushing people to Rickson Academy so much that I've gotten BJJ Project to make Rickson Academy part of my things. Every time you purchase something of mine, you get a membership to Rickson Academy because you should have gone there to begin with. Like, fuck you, man. Go there. That's the guy who's showing me this shit. I'm just throwing dick jokes on top of it. Everything that he's doing is way more interesting than what I'm doing. If you want to follow the silliness that is this, check out podcasts, because every podcast I do, I get to be a bit more open about weird things, because people are starting to ask things about the porn store and ask things about being a university professor, ask things about going to therapy, because it's not just like, what's your favorite pass, bro? Do you feel like an alpha? Like, no, sir, I do not feel like an alpha. I'm not an alpha. No. Is that a furry thing? I'm pretty sure I'm more of a twink. So I'm an otter, actually. Yep, otter.
I would
probably look for podcasts because, yeah, I know, right? I wish I was a bear. Fucking I threw the furry joke out one time because he was like, "You an alpha?" And I was like, "I don't do furry," and they didn't get it. It's cool. Most alphas don't get jokes. It's above their pay grade. Below their pay grade, they're bigger, they're better, they're meaner. Um, I would do podcasts because podcasts you'll hear me talking more shit. In Instagram form, Sheila, I'm slow and steady, like chipping away at Sheila because Sheila's like, you need to do 17 arm bars for every white belt. I'm like, what? They don't need an arm bar. They're white belts. So I'm kind of sort of getting around the fact that like, okay, I think we should show this. And she's like, okay, you get 3 of yours, we'll get 20 of mine. So eventually it'll kind of, she's seeing the difference because she does social media for sports academies. And then she comes and does mine. And she's like, I get it. It's completely different. And then completely forgets for a month and then comes back and goes, I get it. It's completely different. So you're not going to really get to see the train wreck in full, but you'll see the train wreck where Sheila pokes the bear for an hour before filming something. And I'm like, get your arm across. So I would do social media. Hi, baby. Thank you. If you were trying to swear. I don't know if you can read that. If you're trying to not swear, you're doing it wrong.
Perfect.
I love you.
Or,
Dare you, sir.
How dare you? She puts up with a lot.
Well, that's it for another week, and thank you for listening. It's now time to take what you've learned and use it to develop and enhance your life with the key points mentioned. Listen, try it, embrace it, use it, and crush it. Now's your time to hit that next level in your life. If you liked this episode, then please leave a comment on the show notes or a review of the show on your podcast platform. Everything helps evolve the show. Until next week, keep seeking the next level in your life.